I'll say, you got A!
What did we?
Welcome back. It's your boy Bosco. And today we're doing a video on our boy Connor. And our guy here, he messed up. He messed up big time. I'm just going to say it straight up. I don't agree with what he said. Do I agree with the outcome of what he said? 50-50. I'm like kind of in the middle. So he went on an episode Jubilee. Jubilee does this show where they have like a 1v20 where one person sits in the middle. They have a table, there's a chair across from them, and there's 20 people who sit around them in a circle, and they all race for the chair to debate on 3 different topics. Each person gets a turn to give what they think. And so Connor came on here, and the question and the topic on hand was Donald Trump is defying the Constitution. And Connor came, he sat down, and they were talking about, I think it was the 14th Amendment, if I'm not wrong. I watched while I was gaming, so I wasn't paying attention all the way. And now, I don't want to go ahead. Oh shit! Yo, what's up? So I don't want to go ahead and spoil for you guys what he said. Let's go ahead and listen to it from his own mouth.
I'm for defending the traditional demographics of this country, which is majority white, and should stay that way.
How does the United States, I mean, we've gone so off topic, but how does the United States look like under you? Sorry, what's your name?
My name is, my name's Connor. It's a pleasure to meet you.
Took a little bit of a doubt there.
Oh, well, I use a pseudonym online,
fair enough,
but
Connor,
fair enough.
How would Connor's America look? What would it look like?
Well, quite frankly, I think we would deport people who shouldn't be here.
No, I didn't ask about deporting. What does the government look like?
What does the government look like?
Yeah.
I would say, quite frankly, it's under a sort of benevolent leader, such as
Where does he
Franco.
come from?
It could be a kind of aristocratic class, could be someone
who picks the autocrat?
Frankly, the people. I mean, we could hold a vote on it. Kings were
isn't that democracy?
Well, sure. You can have a vote to get to that stage.
And then no more votes afterwards?
Absolutely.
Wow.
100%.
Wow. And if that autocrat kills you and your family, you're fine with that?
Well, I'm not going to be a part of the group that he kills, because that's the whole thing.
How do you know?
Carl Schmitt
Autocrats tend to kill everyone, even their own supporters.
Carl Schmitt makes this point very well in his work. It's the friend-enemy distinction, right?
Carl Schmitt, the Nazi theoretician.
Yeah, absolutely. I don't care.
Are you a fan of the Nazis?
I frankly don't care being called a Nazi at all.
I didn't say that. I didn't actually say that. I said, are you a fan of the Nazis?
Well, they persecuted the church a little bit. I'm not a fan of that. But
what about the persecution of the Jews?
Well, I mean, I certainly don't support anyone's human dignity being assaulted. I'm a Catholic.
But you don't condemn Nazi persecution of the Jews?
I think that there was a little bit of persecution and stuff like that, which is bad.
We may have to rename this show because you're a little bit more than a far-right Republican.
Hey, what can I say?
I think you could say I'm a fascist.
Yeah, I am.
Yeah, this one right here. Please edit this out if I don't do it, but I'll just snap like a photo of his face, and I'll use it for a I'll use this photo for a edit, and I'll go ahead and put like his fusion, like it's on fire. Holy. So this is the face of a man who's gone ahead and just thrown his future away. Honestly, I think at this point his only other option is to go ahead and become like a streamer, like a far right political streamer. You know, he just anyway, let's just continue.
Absolutely.
I'm just checking who's clapping just to get my set of where everyone is on this. Because you know that millions of people are going to be watching you on YouTube and checking out who the fascists and the Nazis are.
I'm not ashamed of that whatsoever.
No, clearly you're not.
During the pre-war period, prior to World War II, it was only those parties that properly enacted the people's will. That's why they won. The conservatives were fat cats, they were aristocrats, they didn't care.
Are you in favor of killing people who aren't like you?
Quite frankly, I'm not.
You mentioned Franco earlier. Franco killed a lot of innocent people.
Oh, well, he killed communists. He killed people who raped nuns and killed priests.
What about children who he killed and women who he killed?
What are you talking about? He never killed any women or children. He was Catholic,
He only killed combatants. Is that what you're claiming?
Yeah, he only killed combatants.
Never killed any innocent people.
The White Terror was only punishing those people who did acts of terrorism. And again, are you supporting like raping innocent women? Nuns, dude. Killing priests? I mean, priests don't brandish guns and kill people.
You just refuse to condemn the Nazi Holocaust, my friend. I don't think you're in a position to ask anyone any questions.
I quite frankly don't care what you think about me. If I'm a Nazi and being a Nazi
is mutual,
if being a Nazi means upholding human dignity, because I even believe in your dignity. I don't in a state that I was running. I wouldn't want to hurt you or anything like that. But quite frankly,
I don't debate fascists.
Okay. So do you concede then? I mean, why?
Do I concede you're a fascist who won't condemn the Nazis?
Yeah.
Yes, I concede that.
Okay, great. So I mean, what are we doing here? Because I mean, you just seem offended.
What you're doing here,
you just seem offended, to be quite frankly. Like
I'm offended by people who can't condemn the Nazis. Yes, I am.
Okay. Well, I condemn the evils that they did, but I don't really care about
Jews?
being. Yeah, sure. I don't care about being called a Nazi. Sure. Is the whole thing.
I never called you a Nazi.
I care
you
about
called
doing
yourself
the right
a Nazi,
thing.
a fascist, and a General Franco supporter.
Well, yeah, I am a General Franco supporter. He was awesome. He was so super cool, quite frankly. Because the whole thing.
And you don't believe in democracy.
I don't believe in democracy.
What are you doing here at a televised debate? This is democracy. I want to debate and disagree.
Because it is the means to support an end. The reason we have free speech now is because we want to be openly talking about our opinions so we can get the state that we want. But it doesn't mean upholding free speech after we win. Again, I mentioned
the only good thing about this fascist moment we're in is that you guys are so open about it.
The whole reason I mentioned
quiet part loud.
The whole reason I mentioned Carl Schmitt earlier, and you kind of blew past him, is the friend-enemy distinction.
Past him because of the Nazi
even liberals, when they take power, they want to enact policies and they want to enact.
Okay, now they just kind of like going back and forth in like an argument. So you heard what he said. Now he went ahead and lost his job. Now what I think likely led to him losing his job is, first of all, the company trying to protect their reputation. Now when you have someone going around saying like, when I see something like this, my first thought is, if this is the way he speaks on YouTube for millions and millions of people to see him, how does he speak in private, right? How does he speak like in silence when he's in the break room with his boys? Because like I've said some pretty atrocious things, but I've never gone and call myself a Nazi. I've never gone to that extent. You know, many companies take actions to distance themselves from public figures who make extreme harmful statements, especially if those statements are perceived as aligning with hate speech or bigotry. Whether or not Connor's words were taken literally or out of context, his employers literally likely saw the need to protect their brand and maintain a good public image. You know, Connor isn't the first person that this has ever happened to. This has happened to, we saw it with Kanye. Literally, we saw it with Kanye. He lost so much. He lost so much money. He lost so much. He lost so many ties with Adidas because of his outbursts, you know. And there's also the company facing public backlash, you know, in today's climate, the world of social media, where everything is just one Google search away, or, you know, just one chain of Google searches away. You know, statements made in public or social media can have a significant impact. If Connor's remarks led to significant backlash, it could have put pressure on the employer to take action. Companies often do not want to be associated with controversial figures who may alienate or push away customers, employees, or even future what do you call when companies link up? Sorry, I don't know the word for it, but you know what I'm saying. Anyway. There's also the legal and the ethical concerns with the situation, where depending on the nature of the statements, there could be the legal or ethical implications. For example, calling yourself a Nazi in the workplace could be interpreted as promoting hateful ideology or in creating a hostile work environment for others. I wouldn't want to work with someone who calls themselves a Nazi. You'll definitely never see me with them in the break room. The reason I think it's fair is, first of all, he's promoting Nazi and fascist ideologies. I'm not a fan of these ideologies. And, you know, they're historically linked to violence, oppression, atrocities, regardless of his intentions, be it whether he was just trolling, whether or not he was serious. Invoking such terms could be seen as endorsing hate and violence. And in such a time where in a world where race politics is all over the place, you know, where social issues related to racism, discrimination, extremism are so high and sensitive in 2025, his statements could be seen as perceived or as glorifying these ideologies, glorifying the associated horrific events that took place with them. You know, if someone goes like, if imagine like a young man in the political space going ahead and he's conflicted with ideas of like these Nazi ideologies, and he sees someone supporting them and takes it as normal and begins to support them himself. You know, this is how it starts. You know, Companies have the responsibility to ensure the employees' actions do not reflect badly on their brand. Even if Conor didn't genuinely hold these beliefs, calling yourself a Nazi or a fascist publicly could be seen as trivializing or joking about deep, harmful historical event. And associating your brand with that is not the best idea. Personally, I wouldn't hire someone who has a track record of saying these things. I wouldn't work with someone. I wouldn't be friends with someone. I wouldn't be associated with someone who like has a track record of these things. And now, there's also accountability for your public actions. Now, when someone's given a platform, Jubilee is a big platform. I think that video right now has however many millions of views it has. No, it's a big platform. Now, I feel like influencers should be held to a deeper scrutiny than regular people talking shit on the street. Because like as an influencer, you have a platform and you have what's called influencer. So you call an influencer. If an influencer goes and starts pushing these hateful ideologies, like let's say he built a platform of this and starts pushing these ideologies, it's going to be pandemonium. It's going to cause chaos because now we're going to have a wave of young men and women and going around believing in these ideologies because their favorite streamer or favorite content creator like this guy does so, you know. Public figures, especially those in television and social media, if the person is publicly advocating or making light of extremist ideologies, it's reasonable for an employer to want to disassociate with them or that person. I would personally. Companies need to protect their reputation, and Conor's words could have jeopardized that also. Like, there's no way I'm allowing someone, like, remember also, there's a phrase that I heard one time, it takes years to build a reputation, and it takes 10 seconds to destroy it. Like, come on, yo, like, you need to make better, you need to make better decisions than that, you know? Saying these words publicly, he knows the weight of them, he knows what they mean, but he just didn't care, and now he's facing the consequences for them. Even if Conor dearly seriously mean his words, you know, there's still the responsibility for individuals to understand the potential consequences of making such statements, especially in an environment that is being watched by the public. Employers may not want to associate with individuals who make inflammatory remarks without regarding for the broader implications. So now there's also the reasons why I do think it's not fair. First of all, he does have freedom of expression. He has freedom of speech. This is a fundamental principle in so many societies, and an individual should be able to express their views without fear of being fired or prosecuted. Even if Conor's statements were controversial or provocative, firing him could be seen as infringing on his ability to express himself, as should have the right to express their ideas, even if they're unpopular or offensive to some. You know, like there's also the phrase, "Sticks stones may break my bones, but the words will never hurt me." If Conor did not explicitly advocate for violence or harm, I didn't watch the entire thing, or at least while I was watching, I was gaming, so I didn't pay attention to the entire thing, let me say that. If he didn't advocate for harm or violence, and instead made a provocative statement in the context of self-exploration or political expression, fire him could just be seen as censorship. You know, if he's just saying it to say it, you know, if he's just talking shit, right? Firing him, I really do feel censoring him. He didn't harm anyone in the get-go. I don't think he's some like big social. I don't think he's some big social media guy. He did say his name was Conor, but he goes by another alias online. So I'm assuming like he's just some troll online who got the chance to come here. So I don't think he has as much influence as people are trying to make it seem. And at the same time, this also could also just be one big overreaction to the controversy, because cancel culture or public outrage, we've seen this many times before, and it can sometimes lead to rash decisions being made without fully understanding the context or nuance behind the statement. Companies often act quickly to avoid backlash, but this can sometimes result in unfairly punishing individuals for remarks that weren't meant to incite harm. We've seen this time and time before, and it's possible that the employer acted under pressure from public outcry or social media, rather than conducting a thorough investigation into the meaning behind Conor's statement. The risk here is the mob mentality might have led to an unfair decision based on emotion rather than reason. And I think towards the end of the clip, he starts backtracking because like he comes to the realization of what he said. And I do feel like he should feel the burn of his actions. I just don't think that this should be something that should affect him for the rest of his life. It's not that serious, in my opinion. You know, if Kona expressed controversial views, that might have been an opportunity for education, dialogue, and growth rather than to immediate punishment. You know, firing someone over controversial views doesn't necessarily promote understanding or reconciliation. It can shut down the opportunity for individuals to change their perspectives. You know, just ultimately, Cornell being fired depends on several factors, including the context of the statements that were made, the nature of his employer's values, whether or not his statements pose a real threat to the workplace environment. You can present both sides, you know, obviously, and we can frame it as a nuanced issue between a balance of freedom of expression and responsibility, and upholding ethical standards can be difficult to strike. The argument for this is fairness, and it depends heavily on whether or not Connor's statements have been sent to promote hate, and if they're merely understood or misinterpreted. It just depends how you look at it. I'm just going to leave you all with the one question of, where should the line be drawn between free speech or corporate responsibility? Who decides what's fair in a public dispute like this? You know, was he just saying it to be inflammatory? Is this being taken out of proportion? I want to know everyone's thoughts down in the comments below. But until then, it's been your boy Bosco. Let me know what you think down below, and peace.
I'll say, you got it!
What did we